Welcome to my VMware lab. Here we're doing lab 23, VApps and clusters. And an important concept that you're going to have to be able to master is high availability versus DRS. Keep in mind that high availability, it's a process if a host fails. It takes all the running VMs and restarts them on another host, where DRS will load balance between the hosts. Using metrics for like CPU and memory usage. DRS uses vMotion as its primary tool. High availability does not. We're also going to be talking a little bit about storage DRS that will allow us to load balance between our different SAN data stores if we have them. So let's go ahead and make sure that we have our appropriate VMs. I actually want to be looking at, do I have C as a template and we have A and B? Yes, we do. So with that said, I actually want to go to ESXi. I want to right click. I want to do a new VApp. Our VApp will be called my VApp, and you should be able to put that in lab. You can actually leave the utilization pretty much where it's at, and give it a second and we will create my VApp. So VApp is it's the beginning of a container. It's the beginning of a cluster. So it's a group of VMs that we can actually manage as a single object, similar to, again, a cluster. So once we've done that, let's go ahead and let's drag and drop our different machines to our VApp. Oh, alright, so I'm going to drag E732A down. I want to keep the files on the current disk. That's something that you will see different on the web client. Web client would have popped up with a migration wizard. I'm going to go ahead and power them both on. And they should both be powering on. We can actually edit both of them from the VApp, so I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to edit the settings. Again, you have a start order, you have a shutdown order, you have all kinds of things that you can do. What I'm looking for is particularly a start order. You notice we have a group, so we can actually have it power on, and we can have them both power on at the same time. We can have it power on B, then A. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. Why would you want one powering on before the other? Well, maybe all of them powering on at the same time may cause too much latency. So powering them on one at a time may be better. So let's go ahead. I'm going to change this to, you know what, let's change it to 20 seconds. That way, when I power them on, it will actually power them both on. Double check the options, IP, any of that other fun stuff. Go ahead and click OK. I'm going to shut down my VApp, and you'll notice they both turned off at the same time. I'm going to power them on. Notice B turned on. 20 seconds later, A should turn on. And there we go. That way, we have control of what turns on, when turns on, the order that they turn on, all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to give it a few minutes for them both to power on before we move on to the next step. Okay, so now that they're both all powered on, let's go ahead and let's power them back off, because we're actually going to delete my VApp. Do we want to remove the VApp? Yes. So one of the fun parts with that is removing the VApp sometimes actually pulls the VMs off. In the web client, it does not. The nice fun part with that is we can just hop back over to our iSCSIs. And we can just re-add these guys back to our lab. That way they're back in our ESXi. Alright, now that they're separate, let's go ahead, let's look specifically at our desktop client. I want to look at the summary, and you'll notice here are the data stores that are here. Let's go ahead and rename data store 1 so that we have a better idea of what it is. So we're going to call this one local ESXi 1. I'm going to hop over to ESXi 2, summary, same thing. I am renaming the local hard drive of that ESXi hosts. That way, when we look at data stores, we can see which ones are iSCSIing and which ones are the local drives for the individual ESXis. Alright, so again, make sure that you understand reservation and limits. We talked about this as a lecture, so do make sure that you understand them. One last thing that we have to do is we have to make sure both of our machines are on ESXi 1. So I'm going to migrate. I just want to change the hosts. I want to put everything on 1. It will use vMotion. I'm going to copy it over. Alright, so now we are ready for setting up a cluster. So let's go home. And we're going to go hosts and clusters. All the VMs are powered off. We're going to right click our training center and you should have a new cluster option. We're going to call this my cluster. We're going to turn both on high availability and distributed resource scheduler. We want to have it fully automated, where the threshold is going to be in the middle. Power management should be fine. Enable host monitoring should be fine. All of these should be fine. Give it a second while it generates the cluster. Alright, now that the cluster is there, let's go ahead and we should be able to drag and drop our hosts. You may get a new warning on them, but that should be okay. Oh, tasks and events. It's still not done setting up the high availability, so the warning should go away once that's done. So I'm going to Pause it and be patient. Alright, there we go. Alright, so you'll notice that currently all the VMs are on ESXi 1. There are none on 2. You'll notice that with my cluster, you don't have the way to manage all of the individual all of the VMs. You have to power them on individually. That was a pro for VApps. Powering on A. It's going to take a few moments, so we're going to be very patient. If you get any of the error messages, I copied it, should be fine. It will take a few moments for it to power all the way on. And as it powers on, depending on the speed of the machine that you're working on, you should see that it actually migrated E732B over to ESXi 2. It will load balance between the hosts. So that's one of the nice things with high availability. One of the nice things with DRS, it's about load balancing using the DRS. It's also about failover using high availability. The reason we did both, if we turned off, for example, I'm going to turn off ESXi 2. Here is the current VMs that are on ESXi 1. So while we wait, I'm going to actually open up my activate later. It should show disconnected. It should migrate over. It may take a few minutes, but it should migrate over. Oh, and it took a few moments, but it did migrate over ESXi 1. We're really taxing the memory here, but it did. Our cluster should actually throw an error because, again, it's now only having one of 2 hosts, so it's letting us know that there's a problem. I'm going to go back. I'm going to turn back on ESXi 2 and give it a few moments to let it turn back on, but it should, again, once it's powered back on, should auto-migrate again. But that's a basic overview of VApps and clusters. Thank you.